Welcome, Reds, the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and alongside me, we've got your co-host, Scott. Hello, pal.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Oh, not bad, thanks. Not bad.
Good, man. Hear the dog in the background as well. How's he doing?
Sorry, he's all right, thanks.
No problems, pal. On today's show, we're going to be focusing on the transfer window, looking at where Manchester United could strengthen and which players could be going out of the Old Trafford exit door. First, though, Scott, how are you feeling now? We've had a few days since that nervy finale to the Premier League season. What are your thoughts now?
Well, I'm obviously really relieved that we've qualified for the Champions League. I think you said it to me the other day that this summer's going to be really, really interesting, and to be able to be going for top targets is obviously where we want to be. Not only the 50-60 million pounds extra we're getting from Adidas.
Yeah, I think now we've had a few days. The full extent of the damage that would have been caused by not getting in the top four has finally hit home, hasn't it?
It has. And there's, the games coming up next week. We're in the Europa League, but you're sort of even looking at Champions League games as being more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we would have had to go into another year of the Europa League, I don't know if I'd have been able to take it.
Well, imagine this now. Of course, we're focusing on transfers today, but imagine now we're kind of in a dead zone, waiting for the Europa League to finish, hoping we scrape in the back door via the Europa League and can get the targets we wanted to get. But it would give the powers that be all the excuses in the world to do their old trick and leave everything to the end of the transfer window, wouldn't it?
It would, and we'd have another summer of watching our top targets go to other clubs.
Yeah, and then potentially we miss out, and then we still have to go for the targets we could have got this week.
Yeah, and it's a kind of a weird summer that so many, I guess teams are now accepting they have to sell players when they've got 2 years left of their contract. It's weird how there are so many really viable options compared to last summer and the summer before, where we were really looking around like there just really isn't anyone that we could get.
Yeah.
And now there are quite a few different targets that we could be going for.
Yeah, ever since everything shut down, we have been saying this could be a summer where we can claw back a bit of that deficit with the top clubs around Europe. And now we've given ourselves every chance to do that, thankfully, from that qualifying at the end of the season there. Let's go through the squad and see what each of us think about who could stay, who could go, and kind of like what our dream summer would be, seeing as we're right at the start of it. We'll start the back goalkeepers. Of course, there is a question mark hanging over David De Gea's head. We got Dean Henderson apparently in contract talks with United at the moment. How do you see that playing out?
It's tough because I don't see many people being able to afford De Gea at the moment, or wanting to go for him on his current form. So I do think we are stuck with De Gea for another year. Not that I'm saying that is a bad thing, but I think that's probably the best thing to do for Henderson as well. I think at the end of next summer is when we'd be looking for Henderson to come in and be the number one. I don't think we should bring Henderson in unless he's going to be the number one.
And you're against the battle, both keepers in, and let one sink and let one swim.
I am, because one person always loses.
Yeah.
I think that if we give De Gea another year, and maybe he can come good again next year, and I think that on previous form, he still has to be categorized as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and I think we're just going to try and get the best out of him again.
Yeah, I mean, there's rumours floating around that Chelsea are prepared to offer £55 million for Dean Henderson. That's quite a lot of cash for a keeper.
It is. I don't see us selling to Chelsea, though.
No.
I really don't.
No, I mean, I like to look at every angle. Look, I'm never tied to a player for the sake of the player. I always want United to flourish as much as we possibly can. So we're trying to look at all the options. I mean, one option that no one's really talked about, and which I don't think is going to happen, is that if Chelsea were offering 55 million quid for Henderson, and we could get a bit of cash for David De Gea as well, then we could go out and buy a ready-made keeper. The problem with that is there's not really one that stands out, apart from maybe Oblak at Atletico Madrid, and they're staunchly saying they're not going to sell, and his release clause is 110 million. So although I brought the point up, there's not much point to it.
Yeah.
But that we would have, we'd effectively have enough if we sold Henderson for that much and David De Gea for whatever we could get for him, of course, factoring in the high wages, to buy a ready-made keeper for sort of 70, 80 million quid.
Yeah, which is a crazy amount of money, right? And I don't think our transfer budget is limitless or is endless.
No, but what I'm saying is that we could create it from Henderson and David De Gea. I'm not saying we should do it. I'm just saying that's the three options, isn't it?
Yeah, but okay, say in best case scenario, we get 55 million for Henderson. We say get 55 for De Gea and 110 for Oblak, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And Oblak's not very good. And then what do we do?
You don't think so?
What if? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that is burning too many bridges because you can't get them back.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? Henderson goes and tears up trees. We know he's a United fan. We know he's got that passion for the club. To see him flourishing somewhere else when we could have had him after having him for so many years, yeah, that would be a hard pill to swallow.
See, I think we give him a nice contract, a nice pay rise. We say go out on loan for one more year. You've done fantastic at Sheffield. If he wants to go back to Sheffield United, fantastic. But it's a bit of a problem because if De Gea was playing fantastically, it would be a no-brainer, right? But the fact that De Gea has chucked a couple in the last month or so, it means that there's pressure now do we bring Henderson back? And I think if you bring Henderson back and I don't really think you can bench De Gea. We certainly would have to get rid of Romero as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love to keep this going for one more year, give Henderson more experience. As we know, goalkeepers like De Gea did. We bought him when he was 22, 23, and he struggled for the first few years. I think it takes them a good few years to mentally and physically be able to play in the Premier League. And
He was even younger, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, he was even younger, yeah. Well, he's been here 10 years, hasn't he?
Yes, you're right.
I mean, the only other option I can think of is, and I do agree with you. I mean, earlier in the season, we did say Henderson needs another year because it's just a different kettle of fish being the United number one. The only other possibility is we do send him out on loan with an option to recall him in January, just to put that pressure on David De Gea to say, look, we've got that option. So you keep this place, otherwise we can recall Dean Henderson.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think we keep recall clauses in most of our loan contracts, or at least I hope we would. But to be honest, again, I think we have more important positions we need to strengthen.
Yeah.
It's just that De Gea has chucked a couple in the last month, if this is even a talking point. Because if he had conceded a goal at Wembley and we would have got in the final, etc., I mean, Henderson would have his loan to Sheffield United for next season would have probably already been done.
That is a fair point. So keep David De Gea, send Henderson on loan. It's probably the logical option, yeah?
Not to Chelsea, though. Unless they want to loan him.
Yeah.
Because then he's going to be getting Champions League experience. I definitely think he needs to be going somewhere with European experience. Which would Sheffield United have that next season? I think they do now, right?
Do they scrape into Europa?
Maybe.
I'm not sure they did in the end.
It might depend on the cup final, right?
Yeah, might well do. My focus was so much on the top four race, I blooming forgot about Sheffield United when they dropped out of it.
Yeah.
Although in talking about goalkeeper problems, imagine having Kepa on your books.
That's what I mean.
After spending, 70 million?
75 million.
And they aren't getting that back. Apparently they've got no takers for him. And they're stuck with him.
Yeah.
That's a goalkeeper problem, isn't it? Dear me.
Yeah. I'm willing to spend £55 million. Not have Kepa involved in the deal. It just shows how much money they really have at Chelsea.
Yeah. Let's move on to centre backs. There has been a few rumours floating around. Gabriel Magalhaes from Lille and Pau Torres at Villarreal have both popped onto the radar. What do you think about centre backs? First of all, in terms of maybe outgoings, do you expect Rojo and Jones to finally go through the exit door?
I would think so, yeah. And hope so. I think. Yeah.
And what about Chris Smalling? He scored again last night. He got rave reviews. Apparently, all the top clubs in Italy are after him now, not just Roma. What do you think? I mean, for me, there's certain games this season where I would have preferred him alongside Maguire than Lindelof, and there's games where I'd prefer Lindelof instead of Smalling. Do you think it's possible that we do reintegrate him, or do you think that ship might have sailed?
I think it might have sailed, TC.
Yeah?
I really do. What about you?
I don't know. Look, looking through, and we will look through the whole squad, there are other positions where we're going to be dropping quite a lot of cash. So as centre-back, I would kind of be looking at we're not going to go out and buy a Koulibaly.
Mm-mm.
We're not going to go out and buy a ready-made replacement. So going out and buying someone who is basically going to be, the same kind of standard as Lindelof, I don't see much point in that, if you know what I mean. I know Torres has got a bit of pace, left-footed. The only other one that's a possibility is Jan Vertonghen's on a free. Mm-hmm. And that would, he's Premier League experienced defender.
Left-footed.
And I mean, what do you think might be a possibility?
That could be a possibility. It's a pretty good chance.
I mean, it basically means that we can throw all our cash at the midfield and the attack and get those players that can really improve the squad. You would say Vertonghen coming in improve the squad. I mean, let's look. Ollie just didn't play. Rojo went on loan. He didn't play Jones, did he? He just wouldn't play him, refused to play him. and Smalling obviously went out on loan, so he doesn't trust any of them. We didn't have any of them available. So just having that extra centre-back available might be worth it.
Yeah, I can't see Chris Smalling coming back, if I'm honest. And if anything, his good form is just adding to his transfer value. And
Yeah.
25, 30 million euros is, I think, more valuable to Ollie than Chris Smalling. I really do.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we can get 25, for Smalling and, between Rojo and Jones, I don't know, 20 million or something like that between the two of them?
I personally don't see Chris Smalling being any better than Axel could be in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think we should maybe cash, and he's getting on a bit now. I think we should strike while the iron's hot with that and sell him to Roma or sell him to anyone, and even it's great that other Italian clubs are interested in him now, because now we can maybe push the price up a bit and do what other teams do to us. But I see Ollie maybe buying a younger, these Magalhaes and Pau Torres, both young left-footed centre-backs. I know he was also interested in Nathan Ake, but I think he went to City today, didn't he? Or at least they had a bid accepted.
They've had a £41 million bid accepted, apparently, yeah.
I think that's more than Ollie would have wanted to spend.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I don't think we can go splashing unless there's a ready-made, but I just don't think he's going to focus on that. Now, just quickly on the fullbacks, look, we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right, Luke Shaw, our first-team fullbacks, and we've got, of course, Brandon Williams has come in. We've got Timothy Fosu-Mensah has been backing up.
Big time.
It looks like Diogo Dalot has played his last game for United, you got the Europa League, so he might play in that. But it looks like he'll be on his way out. Apparently, Barcelona are interested.
Yeah, I read that as well. And we got Ethan Laird as well coming through, and Ollie already thinks good things about him. I was reading yesterday that Brandon Williams has accepted a new long-term deal.
Good man. Yeah. What do you think of maybe Laird going out on loan?
Could be a possibility, for sure.
Keep Timothy in there to back it up and give you a bit of excitement once in a while.
Love him.
And then, that's a reasonable fullback pool, isn't it? Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw, the out-and-out first-teamers. Brandon Williams can play both sides. Don't forget, he used to be a right-back before he went over to the left.
And we need to get something for Dalot, though. A young Portuguese international, both can play on both wings. We need to get something for him. I don't want him to be one of those that limp out the door at £6 million.
Yeah, well, you did mention something about him possibly being involved in the Sancho deal.
Perhaps, but there's so many random deals going out nowadays.
There is.
Yeah, who knows what to believe.
There is. Let's get to Sancho a bit later on. Let's move on to the midfield. In terms of the midfield, it does seem like we're going after a more attacking midfielder than a defensive midfield. Do you think that's wise, or do you think that we should be looking to strengthen a little bit deeper?
I actually do think it's wise, because I think Fred and McTominay can play much more defensive than they can attacking. And we saw how tired Bruno was getting at the end of, he was playing pretty much every minute the first 8-10 games we played. I really like the Donny van de Beek rumours. I think he's a perfect, sort of like a Ji-Sung Park, can play anywhere on the left, right, and through the middle. And
even striker.
Yeah, and just puts his head down, and he's got good technique from what I remember seeing against Tottenham in the Champions League semi-final. He scored that good goal. I see him being a really good option. 40
million quid, reasonable price.
Yeah, wouldn't come in with much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, attacking midfield-wise, look, you got Van der Beek, as you said. You got Jack Grealish. Now it's looking like the price is going to be sky high.
Oh, yeah.
Considering Villa escape. What a dodgy goal he scored on the last day of the season. Blooming hell, what was the keeper doing?
I don't know.
It's like he wasn't there.
Yeah, it was a pretty good goal, but it was the first time I'd really seen him pull his finger out, I'll say. I think with that we were expecting Villa to go down and expecting to get him for maybe 60 million, and now they've stayed up. I don't think he's an option.
If David let that in, you'd be turning the air blue, mate.
I would.
Absolutely. Look,
you would too. Come on.
100. Oh, mate, 100%. Keeps didn't even get a touch on it, did he?
Yeah, it went straight through him.
Incredible stuff. The other name that's been popping up is James Rodriguez. 5 years too late?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Look, in my opinion, I think we should be targeting a deeper line midfielder, personally. Look, when Matic gets a bit tired, we do see a drop-off. I don't think McTominay and Fred are specialist enough to hold that midfield on their own. I'd rather us go out and get a defined defensive midfielder and let Pogba fill in for Bruno and let him recreate the form of the honeymoon period. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see that, personally.
Thomas Partey.
This Partey, 45 million. He can play defensive midfield or central midfield,
I mean,
But
how have we not snapped that £45 million
and apparently,
and no one snapped it up? It's crazy.
apparently Arsenal are circling as well.
Yeah,
Which...
but they haven't got a pot to. Yeah.
You know what? There's Wilfred Ndidi, your old favourite. He'd be
Mm-hmm.
a fantastic addition. You know what? I'm coming round to the old Declan Rice thing. I've been watching him pretty closely, and he's a pretty tasty player.
I don't know if he's hard enough.
I don't know. I mean, David Moyes, your old favourite, says he's the best centre back and the best defensive midfielder in West Ham.
Oh, give me a break. Yeah, he said Big Mo is the best midfielder in the world.
And Ollie's Ollie, the difference between him and Ollie is that Ollie's got time.
Yeah.
I saw you saw that.
Yeah, time.
Incredible stuff. The one that possibly is in the middle between what I'm thinking and what you're thinking is Thiago Alcantara, 30 million quid available. What do you reckon about that for a cheeky one?
I'd give it a shot, but I don't see him being a Solskjaer signing.
No,
I don't. No, there's something about it. I just don't see it.
just slowing the play down a little bit too much.
Yeah,
sometimes.
not someone with the best years ahead of him.
Yeah. So you'd go for Van der Beek.
I'd go Van der Beek, and I would go Thomas. I would actually throw £40 million at Thomas Partey.
Yeah,
I really would.
I mean, if we are recouping that money from defenders and just getting Jadon Sancho, you could effectively get a Sancho, a Van der Beek, and a Partey. That'd be a great sum, wouldn't it?
And they're saying that Wilfred Zaha is going to go for 80 million quid, and that's going to be 25% of that's ours. So that's another 20 we're going to be getting from there.
I think you'd have to be mad to spend that on him.
I think he'll go for something like that.
That's mental money. What did he score? 4 goals this season.
Well, even if it's 60, that's £15 million.
Yeah, Dad. I'm not saying that he won't, but I think it's crackers.
But I'm just saying we have that as a source of income as well for this summer.
Yeah, what's 25%? Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Look, in terms of the midfield, you'd expect a few outgoings. Jesse Lingard, you think his days are over?
I'm not sure. I think maybe the last few weeks. I think if he was going to go, he wouldn't have been coming on last game of the season. I think if anyone, Pereira's probably on his way out.
I'm just going to say on Jesse Lingard, there's obviously been quite a lot of stuff going on in the background in his personal life, stuff like that. I know he's had family problems as well. So you might be right that Ollie just gives him that extra chance, although I know quite a large portion of the fan base wouldn't mind seeing him go.
No, Moisey would love him as well. So if Ollie does want Declan Rice, we can maybe throw him in on the deal and sweeten Moisey up.
Yeah, I mean, the Declan Rice thing, I'm talking about the quality of the player. The problem is the same problem as the Jack Grealish problem, is the Premier League boost-up price that seems to happen. And, if Grealish is 80 million quid, then they'll be wanting a similar for Declan Rice, which for someone who's not proven at the very top level is a high price to pay.
I mean, Jack Grealish still hasn't got an England cap, has he?
No.
They want £80 million from him. It's insane.
Yeah. What do you think about Juan Mata? I kind of thought that he should have been moved on last summer. He hasn't played too much. I actually thought he should have been utilised at the end of the season if we're going to keep him. Do you reckon that might be a ship that sailed as well? I do understand why Ollie kept him. It may well have been for sort of that spirit in the dressing room. And I don't know the ins and outs, but it looks like he's just not playing enough football. He can't be enjoying it too much.
Yeah, he's been a great servant to the club. I've always had a real soft spot for Juan Mata, but it might be time, yeah.
Well, of course you are. He's one of Moyes' boys, isn't he?
Yeah.
Arrived on his helicopter. do you think we'd be able to get a few quid for Mata?
Probably not.
No.
I mean, who would he really go to? You're talking maybe Besiktas or Fenerbahce or one of them.
Into Miami?
Oh, I don't think Bex has got the money. Has he? He's trying to sign free transfers. I don't think he's got the money to maybe pay him, but he hasn't got the money to pay us. And we'd want what, 10 million for him maybe?
The big problem that we've got is just our astronomical wages. It cripples us. And actually, I think we need to revise it a little bit. When you think about what we extended Rojo and Jones's contracts so that we didn't lose them on a free.
Yeah, and Mata as well.
But then the amount of cash we spend in the meantime, and then no one's going to pay us anyway. So it's kind of I think we need to revise that, just chucking new contracts, contract extensions and wage hikes.
Yeah, I think Mourinho was guilty of that. Mourinho was awful at dealing with contracts.
What do you make of Mourinho's comments about Bruno saying that he's the best penalty taker in the world? He had 20 penalties to score.
He's just whinging, isn't he? He always will. I mean, if his striker actually got in the box, maybe they'd get some penalties too.
It's true. I mean, how many penalties would we have got in our prime as United with VAR? We would have been bucket loads, mate. Because the thing is, these penalties have been given with VAR. You can't really argue too many of them. One or two, maybe.
Jack Grealish got fouled 167 times in the Premier League last year, like 60 more than the next person. And Sancho won 10 penalties last year. If we got both of them, I mean, we might be talking 25, 30 penalties.
Soonest will be tearing his hair out under his umbrella.
Isn't it funny, though, that if Martial had scored that penalty at Norwich and had been given the penalty duty, he might have scored 30, 35 goals this season.
Well, because he'd stay on duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's possible.
And kept scoring them.
Look, in terms of loans, do you expect James Garner to go out?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
Unfortunately, yeah. I think he's great, but he should be given time. He should have been given time last year. He should have been allowed to go out on loan.
Let's hope he gets run out against Lask.
Yeah, well, you'd hope so. Yeah,
absolutely. It'd be a nice opportunity. And to Heath Chong as well, maybe out on loan.
Yeah, I would prefer to keep him, but yeah, I could definitely see him going on loan.
Yeah. Look, in terms of the attack, there's only one real name that springs out. Jadon Sancho, of course. It's no secret at all. The noises have been getting gradually louder since that final whistle went on Sunday, haven't they?
They have. And, the press are usually pretty good. When they keep reporting about something, it's usually true. And the fact that we're just absolutely front of the queue is such a great sign, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was rumours that we'd made a bid, 89 mil, that's been rejected. That has basically been rejected by all the reputable journalists. It's seeming like it's going to be about 60 million quid with another almost 40 million in add-ons. Apparently, we're going to negotiate behind closed doors with Borussia Dortmund before just slinging bids at them left, right and centre. But it does have all the signs that it might well be done. Apparently, Dortmund want it done before they go away on their training camp. They returned to training today. Jadon Sancho trained. But they want it done by, I think, is it August the 10th or 12th?
Yeah, that's what they said, 10th, yeah.
Yeah. So we could have big news on Jadon Sancho sooner rather than later. There's not really any other names, is there? There's no... A backup option would be so far away from the standard of Sancho. It's not really worth talking about at this stage.
Yeah, I think the alternative would be Grealish, wouldn't it? But yeah, Sancho is... It's just... It actually reminds me of when we were getting heavily linked with Bruno, and I just kept sort of counting my lucky stars that it was us that he was getting linked to.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same feeling I'm having.
Yeah, I mean, he was relatively close to going to Spurs last summer, Bruno, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
That would have been a bloody disaster.
Yeah.
And what about, I know you always think Ollie's got half an eye on a striker. We've got, of course, Odion Ighalo stayed on. He didn't really play him much. Can you see Raul Jimenez being an option, or do you think that we would be well stocked, wouldn't we, with Sancho, Greenwood, Rashford, Martial and Ighalo in three positions?
Yeah, I don't see Jimenez. I mean, that would be another 60, 70 million pounder.
Yeah.
That's not an option, especially now with, I mean, how many goals do you see Mason Greenwood scoring next season? He's definitely that striker that we were saying that we need to have, right? I think that now you can rely on him for hopefully 20, 25 goals next season. I don't see us spending more than, 15, 20 if we can get a cheap option at the end. But I think we already have. If anything,
we've got Ighalo.
Yeah, if anything, I would see us wait until January and wait until Ighalo goes and going from there.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing is Ollie did say when we signed Bruno Fernandes that was coming out of the transfer budget for the summer. Do you think that's still the case, or?
Oh, I think the transfer...
It's ever changing, isn't it?
If that is the case, then that transfer budget was being prepared when we were 15 points behind qualifying for the Champions League. So surely that transfer budget was going to be a Europa League transfer budget. And qualifying for the Champions League gets you an extra, 50, 60, 70 million pounds.
So you're basically saying he's paid for himself?
I think he's just paid for himself, yeah. Yeah.
What a legend, eh? Fantastic. You got any? So I mean, basically, you'd go for Sancho, Van der Beek, and a party. You'd be delighted with that.
Yeah, and I'd maybe sneak in a left-sided centre back if we can. But
yeah,
I think that at full strength, our team is much better than we think it is. And if we just add a couple of players in there, a world-class right winger and a really good first-team quality attacking midfielder who can come in and provide Bruno with some respite in Van der Beek,
Yeah.
I think that would be a really good option.
Yeah.
What do you think, TC?
I mean, I totally agree, Scott. I can't see us going out and just buying a load of squad players. Look, I know people are saying we need depth, but we also need to close that gap. So I'd much rather us go out and buy the top level and see some of the players who maybe have been playing a bit more regularly drop down. Look, we're going to have plenty of games. We've got the Champions League and the Premier League going on at the same time. So it's going to be a hell of a lot of games. It's going to be a condensed season. So there is going to be plenty of time for these guys to play. But you're right. I don't think Bruno can last a season doing what we've done for the last 8 games or whatever it's been. It's been it was touch and go at the end there. That Bruno just collapsed like a blooming like a Bambi on the field because at the end, wasn't it? He was running on pure passion, and fair play to the guy. But we can't have that option. As I say, I would rather spend the money in defensive midfield, maybe get Vertonghen on a free and Jadon Sancho, and then let Pogba move forward. But I do love Van der Beek as well, and his versatility is something that possibly we'll be losing with a Lingard and a Mata, and then you get that player in, like you say, a Ji-sung Park type that can slot in to a team and seamlessly do a job.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking here that when it comes to the centre back, he only really wants a left-sided centre back for when he plays 5 at the back, right? Because I think Maguire likes to play on the left when it's a 2-man pairing. So it's not a position that he's that he probably has more than 25, 30 million to spend on anyway.
Yeah, I mean the only thing with Vertonghen is how's his pace these days?
Yeah, not very good. I don't think him and Maguire can survive next to each other.
That's the one thing I'd say about Smalling is he has got a bit of gas on him, and when we invite teams onto us in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes, I'd much rather see Smalling coming on than Bailly or just stick with Lindelof because he is fantastic in the air. I'm trying to look at an option there where we don't spend... Look, I don't see the point of spending 30 to 40 million quid on a centre-back again when we've got Lindelof there already, we've got Bailly in there already. They're your 30, 40 million pound players. So I'd rather us get an experienced guy in there or, drop a bucket load on someone, which is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
It is indeed. Any more things that caught your eye in terms of the transfer window, mate?
Just that Thomas Partey is available for £45 million. I think if Matic didn't have the resurgence that he had at the end of last season, that would be a much more viable option.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? The great thing about Sancho is that Dortmund are out the Champions League, aren't they?
They are.
So we can wrap it up and get him over instead of having to sort of... I mean, Timo Werner is not going to play, is he, for RB Leipzig?
Wouldn't have thought so, no.
He's going to
No, he's not. Down. He's a Chelsea player now.
Yeah, it's very weird, isn't it?
Yeah. And he also fills the homegrown quota, doesn't he? Because he was trained by City.
Werner?
No, Jadon Sancho.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, of course he does. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
which is hugely valuable as well when you've got to have eight of them in your 25-man squad.
Yes, that is, and that might back up your point about Lingard as well.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of him staying in the squad. So yeah, start of the window, mate. We don't know too much as it stands, apart from we are obviously chasing Sancho all around the houses, and we've got all the balls in our court now after qualification. Yeah,
and I think another hugely important signing this summer has to be Paul Pogba's name on a contract.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's a big one.
Let's not forget that.
You see us getting a director of football after what was it? How long has it been since we started the hunt? 2 years?
No, I don't. I really don't. I've been. If we do, it's not going to be this summer, is it? It's going to be. It's just something that's been going on for years and years that you just sort of forget about.
You think the director of football's in Ed Woodward's mirror?
Yeah, exactly. It's his alter ego. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Edmund Wardwood.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Subscribe, 5-star review, and spread the word about the 100% United pod. Follow our Instagram at United100podcast too. We'll be back on Monday. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Take care. Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.